Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, YAHAWAH, Bahashem, Yahawah Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, YAHAWAH, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahawah Shai, which means He is our salvation, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites. Which brings us to our discussion / topic tonight, all right? And it is brought to us by this individual that left a comment on a video that I did a while back titled, "They see you as Goy or Goyim, cattle, beasts, and are ready to mark you." And this said individual that goes by the name of Alpha 9191 left a comment saying, "To Muslims, Hindus, Christians, etc., do you really want the God of Israel to be your God?" Well, here's the thing. Whether they want it or not, the Lord, Yahweh, is going to rule over all other nations, all right? And He's going to use His only begotten Son, Yahweh, to do so, because that is His right arm, all right? So whether these other nations want to or not, they're going to be under the power of Israel, who is Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, Yahweh, all right? And there's no other way around it, all right? So to the Muslims, to the Hindus, to the Christians, you could put on to the Buddhisms and any other God or power, all right? Because there is no other God or power except for the one and only true living power, Yahweh, all right? All these other false idols and deities, they're just that. They're false, okay? And these nations that worship them, they're going into slavery, all right? Yahweh Shai, when he comes back, He's going to put down all these other nations. And along with these other nations, He's going to put down their false idols as well, all right? So they don't have a say-so in the matter. See, there seems to be a consensus that all these other nations have a choice. They don't have a choice, okay? They do not have a choice in the matter, all right? Because the consensus is that if they repent or if they have faith, they can somehow receive a lesser sentence. No, all right? They don't have a choice in the say-so, all right? These false idols, these ideologies, and everything else that goes along with them will be put down. That's the first 1,000 years, okay? Because these other nations, they're going to buck up against when we come back out of the chariots. And that's why they got to go into slavery for those 1,000 years, all right? To get their ass broken into, where that they're not going to come up against this word after those 1,000 years. They're going to be in line, all right? They're going to fall into line, and they're going to serve the true and living power, Yahweh, okay? And that's the end of the matter, man. So it's not whether or not they should, want the God of Israel to be their God. It's that they is going to serve the God of Israel, who is Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Now, He is only for Israel, but these other nations, make no mistake about it, are going to serve Him through His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. And they have no say-so in the matter, all right? And like I stated earlier, they're going to buck up against that, and then the Lord is going to put them down, man. All right? And let's get a few scriptures showing you that. So this is the book of Luke, chapter 19, and verse 27. It reads, "But those my enemies," and this is Yahweh Shai speaking, "which would not that I should reign over them, So guess what? You're going to have other nations, especially when we come down from the chariots, to take over the earth and to replenish it and cleanse it from all this wickedness. They're going to buck up, all right? But see, they're going to have that sentence, all right? They're going to be broken like a vessel's potter, all right? It says, bring hither and slay them before me. See, it's either you're going to get in line with the program or you're going to be put down, all right? It's just that simple, all right? So it's not a matter of these other religions shouldn't want to be part of the God of Israel. It's that they're going to worship the power of Israel, YAHAWAH, all right? They're going to worship us, okay? They're going to worship YAHAWAH through YAHAWAH and 144,000, all right? So this is what it's meant when it says we should take these other nations into slavery, all right? Along with them, their false idols, their false gods, their deities, their idols, whatever you want to call them, they're going into slavery too. Because why? There ain't gonna be no co-heir ruling. There ain't gonna be YAHAWAH ruling alongside with some damn statue of Buddha or some rock of Islam or some false image of Cesare Borgia for Christianity. No, man. All that is going to the wayside, all right? It will be only one rulership, all right? And it's the rulership of YAHAWAH, Israel, Prince of the Power. So it says, but those my enemies which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and do what? Enslave them before me. And this is YAHAWAH speaking, all right? Because it's going to be a lot of correcting going alongside in the kingdom, all right? This is Revelation 2 in verse 26. It says, no, let's start at 25. Revelation 2 and 25. It reads, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. All right? And that goes alongside with their false idols as well, because none of those idols that individual listed will be of any significance in the kingdom. All right? This is what that 1,000 years, this is what those first 1,000 years are going to be predicated on. Whooping and beating these other nations until they get it. All right? They ain't going to be serving no Buddha in the kingdom. They ain't going to be serving no Allah in the kingdom. They ain't going to be serving no whatever Hindu or however many Hindus gods there is. They going to get on board or they going to get their ass broken, man. As we finna read. It says, 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. See, it's going to be a strict 1,000 years, man. All right? If we even catch them thinking about serving another God, it's going to be, you know the saying, it's going to be on sight, all right? You're going to bust their heads to the meat show, man. All right? It's going to be a strenuous, rigorous 1,000 years for these other heathen nations, man, and especially Esau, Edom, man. So they better not even think about serving another God, all right? Plus, they're going to be too occupied and busy, too. It says, verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers. See? It's that first 1,000 years, man. They're gonna come up with some resistance, okay? They're gonna buck up, but then guess what? We're gonna put that rod of iron to their ass, man. All right? With those spiritual powers, man, it ain't gonna take too long, all right? Them 1,000 years gonna get them in tip-top shape. So when they go back to their lands, they'll have an understanding of what it means to worship the Lord through his only begotten son, YAHAWAH. It says, even as I receive of my Father, see? And YAHAWAH is going to give his elect that ability. All right. It says, and I will give them the morning star. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches, who are Israelites. All right. So going into Psalms 2, it tells you, why do the heathens imagine a vain thing in the, what does it say? Why do the heathens Psalms 2. And 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? See? So guess what? They can imagine, they can, rage all they want. But guess what? At the end of the day, they going to get on board, or else they going to get their ass, handed to them. All right? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahawah and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. See? So this is what that first 1,000 years is going to be like, all right? Putting them in shape to know that they ain't going to stand a chance, okay? Because they're going to be bucking up against the word, and they're going to be getting their heads busted open, man. All right? It's just that simple. All right? So it's not a matter of fact. It's not a matter of, should they. It's a matter of fact, they don't got no choice. All right? This is Isaiah 42 in verse 8. It says, I am Yahawah. That is my name. And my glory will I not give to another. See? So it ain't going to be no cohabitation ruling alongside. Can we serve your God and our God? No. You only going to worship and serve Yahawah through his only begotten son, Yahawah. All right? And if you don't, guess what? You already know. You're going to get your head busted wide open. It says, neither my praise to graven images. See? That's all that these other false idols and these deities that they call gods are graven images. All right? There is no power in them. All right? There is no power in any of the god or goddesses of Hinduism or Muslim or Christianity or any other false religion for that. All right? So the Lord ain't going to be sharing the throne with any other false religion, man. It's only going to be one rulership in the kingdom. And everyone else up under Israel are subjects, all right? Slaves, so you can understand a little bit better, okay? This is Isaiah 45 and verse 5. It reads, I am Yahawah, and there is none else. See? There ain't no other, goddesses or gods or anything, all right? There is no God beside me, see? So ain't gonna be no in the kingdom when y'all get y'all kingdom set up, can we serve our gods? No, man, all right? You had your chance. You had your time, all right? This is it. This is the eternal kingdom. You're going to get on board, and this is going to be the new way of life forever, all right? You're going to serve Yahawah through Yahawah, all right? And you're going to do it as it is written, all right? Or else you're going to get your ass handed to you. It says, I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. See? Now, this is speaking of Jacob, but guess what? It's going to apply to the heathens as well. They ain't going to be serving their gods, because at one point in time, guess what? We had to serve their gods, all right? In our ignorance, all right? We serve sweet white Jesus in Christianity. Some of our people still serving that false idol. We serve Muslim, Islam, all right? And some of our people still to this day make those voyages and those pilgrimage out there to Mecca to serve that rock, all right? Ain't gonna be none of that in the kingdom, okay? So it says, I am Yahawah, and there is none else. There is no power beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. See? So we had to serve these other idols and these other false gods and religions. But guess what? These other nations gonna serve the true and living power, and they ain't gonna have no say so in the matter. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 24. Verse 20, the order of resurrection. But now is Hamashiach risen from the dead, and become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Hamashiach shall all be made alive. And this is speaking of the Israelites. But, verse 23, every man in his own order. Hamashiach, the first fruits. Afterward, they that are Hamashiach at his coming, right? The elect. Verse 24, then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Most High, YAHAWAH, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. See? So YAHAWAH is going to put down all these other nations, and alongside with these other nations comes their gods, their false idols, all right? All of them are going to be put down too. It says, verse 25, for he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. St. Luke 19:27. Those that are my enemies that wish that I should not reign, bring them hither and slay them. Revelation 2:27. All right, with that rod of iron. So it's not a matter if they should serve the God of Israel. It's a matter of they are going to worship the God of Israel. All right, and they ain't gonna have no say so in the matter. So it says, for he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death, right? So when he returns, he's going to destroy death for the Israelites, all right? That's our salvation when we get changed in the twinkling of an eye, all right? Death will no more have any preeminence over the Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, all right? But it will still reign over the other heathen nations, okay? So they don't have a say-so in the matter, and YAHAWAH, when YAHAWAH sent him, is going to put all these other nations alongside their idols and false gods into captivity, all right? Beginning with the number one, Esau, Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man, and his so-called false religion, Christianity, all right? So let's go ahead and take it over to 1 Peter 5 and 8, and we'll close out. This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant, see? So we understand, hey, and we look forward to it, all right? We can't wait till these nations buck up against us when we come down from the chariots and take over, all right? Because we get to use these spiritual powers, man, all right? We get to put them in slavery, and we get to enjoy ourselves, all right? And we know they're going to buck up against us, all right? The Lord going to put the spirit on them so we can do what? So we can, flex our might, all right? So it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, right? And you got some of these Israelites that's saying that a remnant or a portion of these heathens can be saved. No, man. None of them are going to be saved, all right? None of them are going to receive salvation, all right? They're going into slavery, all right? They can't get salvation, all right? They're going to get that 1,000 years, and then they'll be able to go back to their land and worship the true and living power, YAHAWAH, through his only begotten son, YAHAWAH, all right? So it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, right? So if you fall for any of these hucksters and these hirelings that's telling you that all nations can be saved if they believe and have faith, a remnant of them will, no, man. None of them is going to be joint heirs in the kingdom with the Israelites, all right? They're going to be underneath us, on our feet, beneath our feet, serving and worshiping us, all right? And they ain't going to have no say-so in the matter, okay? Their kings are going to bring the finest of their riches to us and everything, all right? So it's going to be a ruler mentality, man, all right? They don't have no say-so, okay? They done had their time in the sun, all right? Now it's time for the eternal kingdom to be set up through who? YAHAWAH, Hashem, YAHWAH. So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour, all right? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.